Why do we need feminism? Not the ideology, whatever the hell it is. It's different for every feminist you want to see. I've seen feminists that people would refer to as a social Marxist. I've seen feminists that people would refer to as a political fascist or authoritarian. I have seen feminists that people would refer to as reasonable people except for one problem. That problem is the question, why do they need feminism? Not the ideology, the word. In Western civilized culture, feminism has completed its goal. Women have the right to vote. They have the right to property, their own rights, their own careers. The wage gap has been worked out to 7 cents for equal work. And the gender gap that you've ever heard quoted that's 20 cents or more has to do with who's working what job. We're talking total gross income. The fact of the matter is, child rearing, having children, and just the general interests of women in at least American culture that I know best don't always pursue CEO jobs or ridiculously high-paying partners in law firm jobs or corporate CEO jobs of any particular economic section, private or government. Although women are making a decent resurgence in government, I will admit that there should be more women in Congress and in the Senate, but at least there's not none. So you've got everything, you've won. So what is left when you have an ideology that's built around protest and around complaint of grievances, and sometimes just complaining as in bitch, 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 bitch. Barbie dolls, women's clothes, dresses, the color pink. Can you catcall a woman who's attractive, or if you fucking tell her she shouldn't wear that, that's slut shaming. The mass lie, the lie of rape culture. There's no rape culture. There's no culture that says violence against women is okay. It doesn't exist in America in anywhere. It doesn't exist. These are people that say, if you show a woman being oppressed, you are supporting oppression. Bull fucking shit, bitch. You're a liar. You're making that up. Not all feminists, because I'm about to get to some feminists I can actually appreciate their position of, and we'll get back to the point, which I keep straying a little bit from, which is, why do we need the word feminism, the term feminism, the phrase feminism, the designation, the epistemology of feminism? They have nothing to need, so they invent things to protest. And they get progressively, that's a pun, more absurd. Now, I'm a progressive. I'm a liberal. I believe in gender equality. I believe in freedom of everybody to their bodies. I believe in freedom of everybody to their choices, to their lives. I don't believe that any information should be suppressed. I don't believe in censoring pornography or hate speech even. No. I think it's atrocious that so many countries in Europe, I don't know if there even are that many that can, I think maybe Greece, allow hate speech. And now you're seeing in Greece a neo-Nazi party that holds seats in their fucking government. Why? Because these people are oppressed. Not by far-right conservatives like America is, ironically. Europe is seeing a resurgence of the far left, the Marxist, the social equalizer that crushes freedom in order to make sure that nobody has an edge. The privilege eliminator of the far left wing. I'm to the edge of center left. God knows that this screen is probably going to be reversed when I fucking play it to you on YouTube, and I have no idea which side of the screen is represented as left. But you know what I'm talking about. Stalin was far left, Hitler was far right. Which way do you want to go? Let's get a little bit back towards center left. I would call myself a secular humanist. I would call myself a gender egalitarian. I'd call myself almost a libertarian freedomist, although I disagree most vehemently on every last part of federal and economic policy when it comes to the libertarian agenda. I disagree with all of it. But socially, in terms of consumer privilege, 100%. Isn't that odd? Because I'm a reasonable person. Because I can change my mind. 5 years ago, I was a Christian Republican who didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Today, I am an atheist, egalitarian, liberal. I'm almost afraid of the word progressive, as almost as soon as I'd heard it and liked it is when it was being usurped by people who need feminism, social justice warriors, professional victims, you've probably heard them called. That is the most fitting thing. They make their money like a vampire, feeding on propaganda, the outrage that their propaganda spreads to their followers, who are mostly very young and impressionable and ironically extremely privileged people. And feminism will self-destruct. It's inherent racism, sexism, it's so fucking jingoistic that as it starts to gravitate and coalesce like the universe into individual galaxies, these galaxies will collide and destroy each other. Because they don't have a unified agenda. Why do we need the word feminism? We will conclude here. Secular humanism, gender egalitarian, freaking libertarian freedomist, all invent a word. I didn't take political science in college, and I'm thinking I really should have. But feminism is an obsolete word in Western culture. You want to go to Saudi Arabia? You want to go to Sudan? You want to go to Ethiopia? Do you want to go to Guinea? It's embarrassing. It starts with an S. Sierra Leone, all these places where it's not a first world country yet. It's working towards it. Women are oppressed in one way or another. Either they don't have their reproductive rights, or they are not allowed to drive, or they have no rights in a court of law over a man. Muslim countries in particular desperately need old feminism. Give these women the right to vote, the right to their own bodies, the right to property, the right to their own fucking names. You know what I mean? They don't have that. But we got to come over here and say that little girl shouldn't wear a pink dress, and we should call all the children in the school not boys and girls, but purple penguins. No. Just admit that we're on the right track. Get off your bullshit train. Tighten up the last of the Equal Pay Act that Republicans won't let us pass. These same conservatives who are with you on wanting to ban porn, while feminists in frickin' Britain are protesting Britain banning their porn. You see the psychosis here, the schizophrenia that is feminism. Just be a secular humanist. Just be an egalitarian. Why do I say this? Why did I make this video? Because in making these arguments on Google Plus and on YouTube comments and other places on the internet, I meet feminists who are reasonable. I meet feminists who are just secular, humanist, gender egalitarian, pro-freedom people. And they say, I'm a feminist. I keep trying to tell them, no, you're not. And then I tell them what I am, which is more or less, with the subject at hand, the same thing they are. And they say, no, you're a feminist. I say, well, then we're at an impasse. Because I will never identify as a feminist. What it's become is a corrupt, disgusting, evil cancer of culture. I've seen it attack atheism in 2011 and 12. I'm seeing it attack, just last year and ongoing today, the video game industry. They're going after governments in Europe. I mean, we have feminist-minded and women in major places of government, places like Sweden, who are deliberately using feminist ideology. We got that kid, she's still a kid, Emma Stone, up there reading a scripted speech in front of UN that doesn't really say anything other than women are people too. Well, yeah, thankfully most of Western society knows that. And there are a few people that don't. And I'm one of the few people who didn't really criticize Emma. Was it Emma Stone or Emma Frost? God, I don't fucking know. The chick from Harry Potter. I'm sorry I didn't watch the movies. I don't care. I know, I missed out. We're at 10 minutes. Let's wrap this up. These people I've been talking to that I argue with, and they get angry at me, and I even get miffed at them because they won't admit that what has feminism done in America? Women's suffrage. The end. They want to take credit for the civil rights movement. They want to take credit for the cultural phenomenon that was American media, with stand-up comedians like George Carlin and Chris Rock and Richard Pryor broke down barriers. Even Paul Mooney, who's one of the most racist black comedians that I think is fucking hilarious. Those guys, in the great words of P.W. Swivel, Chris Rock did more to corrode racism than Al Sharpton and fucking Reverend Jesse Jackson ever did. Women in the golden age of cinema like Marilyn Monroe. Just the normalization of women as decision makers in shows like All in the Family, clear back in the late 60s. We steadily began to not see women as objects naturally through naturally liberally progressing culture as our culture became more luxurious and prosperous. The need to oppress and control and condense power lessened. And it's starting to recontract again in another crunch, but it's another story. The thing is, feminism is over. And feminism didn't win any fucking battle that I'm aware of. Please comment below, because I'm not a fucking scholar on this subject. Has got nothing done but white women suffrage by the fucking way. White women suffrage. And now it's hilariously ironic that feminism is racist against one color of skin. This one. And is racist towards one gender. Or sexist towards one gender. This one. Telling me I have privilege. Telling me who I am. Telling me how to live my life. How to talk words. How to identify with myself. I'm only suggesting to these women that they are not feminists anymore. And they don't know what they're talking about. And they're telling me I'm a feminist. Well, in the way you hold that word. Not in the way reality holds that word. I'm a gender egalitarian, pro-freedom, progressive liberal, in the way progressive should mean, not in the fucking social Marxist censorship-happy... I want to rant. I'm sorry. This video is a little bit more concise for the first 10 minutes. But I think you get my point, ladies and gentlemen. Feminism is the enemy of a free, democratic, liberal society. It's authoritarian, and it is just another flavor of the same enemy that the Republican conservative agenda is. The same sort of racism and sexism and censorship and demand to be the single narrative, Christ Jesus and feminine supremacy. It's the two sides of the same coin, the right and the left wing, and they are both, you and I, our mortal enemy. I don't hate these people, and I have trouble assuming the same vitriol that guys like Sargon of Akkad, who is, by the way, someone you really should subscribe to, even if you don't give a shit about video games. Incredibly eloquent. I think he's... God, I want to say Australian, but he's either Australian, British, or South African. Roll the dice. I'm sorry, Sargon. I haven't paid attention to your earlier videos. Sargon of Akkad will tell you exactly why feminism is bad. Thunderfoot will tell you exactly why feminism is bad in just tons of videos. I can't begin to quantify and explain to you the way these guys can what the problem is, but I can tell you where I came to my conclusions. And I've had to make choices, and I've had to learn that I'm not a team player. I'm a fucking skeptic, okay? Last thing, I'm a skeptic. Today, I unsubscribed from TYT Network. I've been a fan and a, what do you call it, a subscriber for 2.5 years. And I've just watched them to devolve into a bigoted, pro-Muslim, anti-Christian, ridiculously, bizarrely, incoherently leftist thing. They stopped calling it down the line in politics and started just going straight on towards the Republicans, even after the election, and I fucking unsubscribed. Because I can change my narrative, and I can change my mind. Like I said, I used to be a Christian Republican 5 years ago. Just 5. And so much has changed because I'm willing to listen and learn. Thanks for watching.